JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Monday, May 19th, 320. Really quick rant. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P slightly in the red, down about a tenth of a percent. Nasdaq down about 0.2%. A far cry from this morning when the S&P was down 1%. Nasdaq was down more than that. Business as usual, right? Back to buy the dip. I don't even know if you can use the term buy the dip in this current environment, but impressive stuff. I was making some jokes. I put it in the watch list this morning too. It's just the Moody's credit rating, uh, dropping the rating, cutting the rating on the U.S. It's like so long overdue, right? I mean, I was talking about that with 2013 and 2022 with the other rating agencies already cutting U.S. debt, and then it's like comical because like the U.S. is not going to default on their debt. The only way the U.S. will default on their on its debt is if it's unwilling to pay or not going to pay because the debt ceiling or what have you, not because it can't pay, right? So it's fun. Now you read all the articles. This morning it was, what was it this morning? Okay, it was, let's see, why don't I have this up here? Oh, this veteran investor crunches the numbers and sees a risk of a full-blown bear market, right? Not even just a bear market, a full-blown one, just pretty crazy stuff. And then, let's see here. Um, Sorry about that. And then this afternoon, it's more, but this is all Market Watch. I use Market Watch almost as my comic relief, right? And here's another one. Is America the next Cyprus? So everybody remembers Cyprus back in the day. That was right. The bank runs, that was pretty interesting spectacle and funny because the Cyprus situation, almost the bank runs with Silicon Valley Bank last year. It's kind of like we forget about these things, right? But crazy stuff happens when there's runs on banks. Things are probably a little different nowadays, but uh, even just a year from then, we've learned a lot from Silicon Valley Bank. But bro, remarkable stuff. They, big headline. Of course, that's going to get folks to click, and then it just talks about the ramifications. And of course, Cyprus is part of the EU, so that it's not like they can go out and print their own money to backstop situations, right? So that was the big kind of, I guess the catalyst for that, because once that started to happen, it wasn't like they could just print money to avert some of the run and the default and things like that. So funny stuff. And then the next one just came up. Oh, he called the S&P 500 bottom. Now this stock trader can't rule out a flash crash. It's like, oh, the headlines just kind of get me. But anyway, needless to say, constructive here. I talked about 586 to 597 on the SPY. So nice to see a bottom yields, which again, shocking to see the credit rating downgrade, but then yields have reversed and the 10 years actually in the red now. Who knows what the 30-year is looking like? I didn't pull that up, but um, it's going to be like a week or 2 weeks from now. You hope, I mean, but has been just like DeepSeek, right? The DeepSeek AI situation. It'll be this downgrade will be on the back burner. We'll be talking about other things. That's my hope. But right now, it looks like the market's shaking it off. Um, and we'll see how this week plays out. We still have the Walmart, I mean, not the Walmart, Target earnings. You got Home Depot tomorrow morning, Target Wednesday, and then we have the PMI Thursday. Uh, Thursday, I guess it would be at 10 o'clock. So those would be some things to watch. And then outside of that, it's not much in the way of catalysts. There'll be, be more headline driven like it has been. That's kind of that. All right. So just quick overall market. So individual names and some of these, it's interesting. Today's like a lot of small cap bio names are going nuts today. I don't see any news or catalyst. There was uh, what was the approval? I've, I guess it was, I'll have to go and look at the catalyst, but interesting stuff nonetheless. But either way, back in Biogen, second week in a row. Take a look at its 50-day moving average, 127 and change. It's been holding there. And once it started to hold, I'm like, before it starts to really break out, I went and got some weeklies again. I think it's clear blue skies to 140. I mean, call me crazy. The thing is, if it happens, the calls are inexpensive on a risk reward basis. 5 to 7% move is not out of the question. If that happens, I mean, some nice cash on the call. So that's kind of thought process there. I've been waiting for the bounce of Biogen. Here's the call, and it's a name that's kind of like under the radar. So it's not like a lot of folks are talking about. Maybe once these start to run, that's kind of thought process there. And then also Reddit. So if you had told me Reddit was down at 106 this morning, if you would have told me last week, I would have said you're nuts, right? It was at 129 pretty much last Wednesday, and here it is. Selling off. You have that downgrade this morning from Wells Fargo. I mean, it's comical. It's like what has changed in their story to downgrade it from outperform to just market perform and drop their price target $70. To me, you got more clarity in their earnings, right? So I mean, it's a huge growth story. it's, you know, I look at, and even with the downgrade, I'm like, it might similar to what the market's done with this Moody's downgrade. I think it's going to get shaken off, and then tomorrow it's going to embark back on its, and it's just a matter of time before it does its post earnings smash up. So that's kind of the thought process there. I was contemplating at times pulling the ripcord on the calls, but I'm just going to hold them because I don't want to be chasing tomorrow if there is you know, a gap and go. So that's kind of that. That's Reddit. And then other names, you know, Solar Edge, which was weak in the morning with the rest of the market, and supposedly now the new tax bill that's could pass any day now is going to kind of have some of these tax credits expire earlier than expected. Who knows what that looks like? But either way, I think Solar Edge um, it didn't do too much after that news came out last week when First Solar went nuts. So I don't think I think it's somewhat of a non-event, and it's trading right here about 21 bucks. Kind of want to see that close over 21, but still like this one. I mean, I'm still riding the June freebie, so plenty of time. I was hoping to see green today, and then I would add more strikes, but I'll continue to be patient there. Roku doing what Roku does. Got to get over that 200 day moving average 72.85. Sitting here at 763, not doing much. Yeah, just disappointing. Probably, you know, we'll see how it plays out this week. Probably take that off the watch list. Then other names I'm watching. They are all morning. I've been waiting to try and maybe nibble some Cigna calls or even Humana calls, but just sitting, you know, just I don't know. It's just not moving too much. And then Humana ran up to 246, but I start looking at the calls on a risk reward basis. Tough. Similar with United Healthcare, right? So I mean, the calls are in the green United Healthcare, but me, I probably would have went out and got like 330 or 340 strikes on Friday. But the risk reward, the premiums are expensive. And even, I mean, they're up 40, 50% the calls, but the stock is up 7% today. So you have to, it's the risk doesn't, for the reward it's paying, just doesn't jive for me. You know, like if you see a 7% move on a stock and you have the weekly option, you would think the calls will be up a couple 100%, and that's not the case. So as much as I would like to even try and nibble some United Healthcare for maybe for 320, 325, just the risk of some other headline, or even if it just churns killing the premiums is higher for the rewards. It's not worth it for me. GameStop not doing anything either, down 1.7%. At some point, this is going to get going. I'm trying to think of some of the other names. Decker's reports Thursday after the close. You know, I was watching this morning. It was 128s, and I'm looking at the 150s and then the 155s, and then it's just been kind of like floundering here. So probably going to pass adding today. Maybe I'll revisit tomorrow, but I don't have as much conviction that it's going to have a huge beat and raise Thursday after the close. So the only way I really want to trade it is if I can get a melt up and then lock some in to cover costs and ride the rest of the earnings. Doesn't look like I'm going to get that chance. Still watching pool here. That's kind of flat as a pancake. Tough to get some strikes there because the spreads are wide on the call. So I'll continue to be patient there. I think that's it. Not much to talk about here today. I'm not going to just trade to make trades here, so I'll just hold what I have. Um, Friday took some trades. Option expiration days. Sometimes it's like one of those days, kind of like see some positions roll off. So you're not holding too much into this week, so gives you the opportunity to put more risk on when there's opportunities right now. That's I'm just being patient. So, all right, folks, that's it. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.